Hello and welcome to this video on strategy analysis. To value a business, you need to understand the business, and that means you need to understand the strategy of the business. As part of a strategy analysis, you'll need to identify the key success factors and the key risks of the firm's strategy, and you'll have to consider the sustainability of the profits generated by this particular strategy. Broadly, when we talk about a firm's competitive advantage and their strategy, there are two ways to achieve a competitive advantage. The first way of achieving a competitive advantage is through being a cost leader, that is, competing on having low prices. And the alternative is to be a differentiator, that is, to compete based on your product's high quality levels. Professor Porter has broken up strategy analysis into these two categories of cost leadership and differentiation. And in this figure here, it outlines some of the key factors that are required to be successful at either of these strategies and how it leads to a competitive advantage. So, for cost leadership, you need to supply the same product or service at your competitors at a lower cost. So here we've got a picture of Audi. They're a classic cost leader. In the supermarket industry, Coles and Woolworths do compete on price and quality, but we all know that Audi is generally perceived to be the cheaper place to shop. So to be a good cost leader and have a success with that strategy, you need to really make sure your prices are low. To do that, you will have to require economies of scale and scope. So you want to be a large producer and really getting a lot of products produced from your fixed costs. You need to have economies of learning, really focused on efficient production, simple product designs. That's why Audi, they don't have fancy shelves or fancy labels. You have to bag the products yourself. It's all about making their business more efficient and simple. You have to have lower input costs. Often that requires cheaper salaries to your employees. At all levels of the business, having really tight cost controls and making sure you control your costs and minimize them wherever possible. Many cost leaders will have little R&D or brand advertising, but that is not always the case. Audi is a reasonably well-known brand. I'm sure most of you have heard of Audi. So there is scope for some brand advertising for cost leaders, but often it's less than for differentiated businesses. The alternative strategy is to be a differentiator. So in this case, you're going to be supplying a product which is seen to be superior in quality. So your products need to be seen to be unique and they need to be higher quality. So here I've got an image of the Apple store. Apple are considered to be a differentiated product. People perceive their quality to be much higher than Windows-based computers or Android-based phones. They charge a higher price, but we hopefully get higher quality products for that higher price. These two broad strategies will actually show up in the financial statements, and they'll often show up in the profit margin and the asset turnover ratios. So if you're a cost leader, if that's your strategy, for example, Dell computers are considered a cost leader, they have a profit margin of about 5%. Whereas Apple Computing is a differentiated product and they have a high profit margin, they have a profit margin of about 20%. So Dell and Apple are both very successful companies. They sell lots of products in the same industry, but they operate with different strategies. Dell keeps their prices low for consumers and they earn a lower profit margin. Apple have a much higher profit margin and charge higher prices. Then we can look at a ratio like the asset turnover ratio, how effectively you use your assets to generate sales. So Toyota, hugely successful car company, they sold over 10 million cars in 2019. Compare that to Ferrari, which is a brand we've all heard of. We know they're a high quality car company. They only sold 10,000 cars in 2019. Toyota's strategy is to sell lots and lots of cars at a low profit margin to generate their profit. Ferrari are a differentiated business. They have the opposite strategy. They don't sell many cars, only 10,000 a year, but they sell them at very high prices and generate a high profit margin and low turnover for their sales. So you need to understand a firm's strategy because understanding the strategy will give you an insight in what you expect the financial statements to show. It'll give you an insight in what you expect the profit margin and asset turnover ratios to look like relative to other firms in the industry. So here we've got a range of different industries from the US. We've got their overall return on equity over a certain period of time, and we've broken it down into how that return on equity is actually generated from their net financial liabilities, their operating return on assets, their profit margin, and their ATO. So we can see different industries may favor different strategies. For example, pipelines here have a very high profit margin, but a pretty low asset turnover. Now they'll have a high profit margin because they're a very differentiated product. You can't easily switch your pipeline. there's low levels of competition in any geographic area. They have low turnover because there's high initial fixed costs in building your pipes. If we look at something like general stores, we see they have a low profit margin, but a much higher asset turnover ratio. So these are your supermarkets and those kind of stores that you'll see. Woolworths and Coles and Aldi all have pretty low profit margins. It's difficult to be a supermarket with a differentiated strategy. It's more favored to being a cost leader kind of thing. There are some firms like Harris Farms would differentiate their products more than, say, Woolworths or Coles, have a slightly higher profit margin and lower turnover. This figure here shows each dot is an industry, and it shows the industry average for the profit margin and the asset turnover. And it shows that there's this kind of general pattern that industries follow. Okay? Some industries will have firms that are differentiated and cost leaders, like the airline industry, Qantas compared to Jetstar, whereas other industries will favor a particular strategy. So when you're looking at a firm's strategy and you're evaluating it, you need to consider what is their strategy and are they likely to be successful with that strategy in the future? Do they have the appropriate resources to actually implement that strategy? Have they made the appropriate investments and commitments to actually achieve their competitive advantage? So if you want to be the best at something and have the highest quality products in an area, you need to be spending money on research and development. You need to be spending money on branding. Okay? All these issues are required for you to be a successful differentiated product in most cases. Are your firm's activities structured consistently with your competitive strategy? So if you want to have the cheapest prices, everything from the ground up in your business needs to be focused on reducing, from your salaries you're paying to the cost controls in your accounting management system. Everything needs to be focused on being efficient, quick, and low cost throughout your whole organization. Then you want to think about the future. Is your competitive advantage sustainable? Are there barriers to entry that prevent other firms from copying it? Or is it likely, if you're a leader at the moment, will everyone else catch up to you in the next couple of years? Okay. And related to your industry analysis, are there changes to the industry that might reduce your competitive advantage? Will there be new regulations coming in or changes there that may change? As well as the industry and strategy analysis, you can think about a corporate strategy analysis as well. So how is your business actually structured? What's their level of diversification? What's their level of horizontal or vertical integration? Where do they sit there? Are they creating value in any of these areas? Is it important to your firm how they're structured? And in some cases, this can be really important. In other cases, it's not a big issue. So the theory is that the scope of the firm depends on the transaction costs of performing different functions, either inside or outside of your firm, what you're specialized in compared to what you might outsource out for other firms. And depending on what industry you're in and what sort of imperfections there are in the market and resources required, different firms will choose to do different things in-house compared to outsourcing and transacting with other businesses. So in conclusion, value is created when firms earn a return greater than the cost of capital. That's what's going to actually make your firm's share price go up, is when your profits are higher than your cost of capital. And firms are able to generate these abnormally high profits based on the economic factors that influence their business, the industry structure that they face, and how firms compete within that industry, as well as the business's strategy. So when you're understanding the business, you need to do an economic, industry, and strategy analysis and get a good understanding of all those areas. It'll help you understand the business. It'll help you predict what's likely to happen in the future of that business, which allows you in later sessions to improve your forecasting and valuation models. Here are a couple of practice questions for you to think about when you're doing your strategy analysis practice and what type of strategies may be appropriate for different businesses. Have a go at these questions and let me know your answers. Thank you very much.